Richard, you faced Kobe on the court for 15 years. You played in NBA Finals against him. How did you find out this morning about what happened, and what were the conversations with people that you're close to?
Honestly, it was crazy. You know, I'm with my son and getting ready to take him to swimming, and all of a sudden I get this message about what's going on, and I had to tell him, I was like, buddy, I can't take you to swimming today. I was like, I have to go talk about basketball. And he's like, Daddy, are you sad? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, did something bad happen? And I'm like, I didn't have the heart to tell him. I didn't have the heart to tell him, even at 5 years old, you know, what was going on, because I didn't want to do that, then have to send him off. And everyone is dealing with emotions right now, even being on, you know, a group text, and, you know, different guys, you know, LeBron, JR, Tristan, a bunch of the guys that we were fortunate to win a championship with. All of us are sitting there in disbelief. You know, the guys were flying in, so we start sending text chains like, is this real? Is this what's going on? Like,
the Lakers were on their plane from Philadelphia to Los Angeles when this news broke, and they had to deal with it together, but in the air, detached from everything.
Yeah, and they couldn't, you know, people are trying to contact wives and friends and contact his family, and there's so many, you know, I'll say this, when my father passed last year and TMZ was the first one to break it, right? Like, you know, immediately there's validity to this thing. Like, you know, say what you want about them, that this is what they do. Yeah. And so even though all the information was there was enough information to be like, wait a second, you have to take a moment and pause. And it was, you know, again, you know, Bron's devastated, right? And I'm not going to speak for him and his, you know, he's going to have his moment, but to have this happen after there's been so much talk in the week of, you know, him passing him and scoring. And I say that only because he always looked up to him, and that was someone that he chased.
LeBron was so eloquent last night. I was in the locker room with him after the game, and he was just so emotive talking about Kobe Bryant, how Kobe had been there for him from the time he was a teenager. He told the story about how when he was 15 years old, Kobe gave him a pair of shoes and encouraged him. And even though Kobe's shoe size was a size smaller than LeBron's shoe size, he said, I stuffed my feet into those shoes and I wore them the next day, actually playing a high school game against Carmelo Anthony's high school team. I mean, that's how woven in to the game Kobe was with so many people. To me, anything we do going forward in the NBA is going to have a bit of a hole in it, because Kobe Bryant is supposed to be there for everything. Certainly expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this fall. Fizz, you grew up in Los Angeles, and you have seen this town go through so many phases where really sports was the only thing holding it together. What did Kobe Bryant mean here?
Well, you know, I was thinking about it when I got the news. D-Wade was the first one to text to me, and obviously he had a tremendous impact on LeBron and D-Wade and those guys that I was around. They talked about the Olympics a lot with him. But for someone that grew up here in Los Angeles, I was thinking, like, you know, there was three things in my upbringing coming through Los Angeles that just tore me apart. You know, one was when Magic announced he had HIV. You know, we broke down crying for Magic. The LA riots, you know, when the city burned. And then none, for some reason, more has hurt me more than this moment right here, to lose Kobe being Bryant. You know, his impact on this city, you know, and you know, our prayers and thoughts obviously go to his family, but he has a large family, and it's all of us here in Los Angeles and around the world, but especially here in LA, because, you know, for a guy to play 20 years in the same city, and I thought there would never be another thing like Showtime. Yeah. There would never be another a run like that, a player like Magic Johnson who could just bring people together and just cheer his name and just, you know, and I remember going to those parades as a kid and seeing him on the floats, and it was what encouraged me to want to be a champion and to want to chase greatness, and I never thought that would happen again. And then here comes this kid, Kobe Bryant, who just took the city by storm. And, you know, not just the basketball impact, but what he was in the community and what he did for our community. And I was thinking about how you remember those games against Utah early in his career where he shot all those air balls. And for his last game to be against Utah, and he scored 60 points.
60 points.
You know,
it was one of the most amazing nights that I've gotten to cover. We got to cover so many with him. We're going to spend the rest of this evening paying tribute to him. I do want to say, though, we also lost his 13-year-old daughter.
It's just horrible.
And in recent years, for me, one of the things that was so special was getting to see the side of Kobe that was the dad who would physically pull you by the arm to show you pictures on his phone of his daughters who would brag about them. Just in these last 4 or 6 weeks, Kobe and Gianna were at a series of tournaments for 8th graders that our Tracy McGrady was also at with his 8th grader. And the two of them would sit in the stands together, Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant. I teased them, they were my two dads, watching their children and getting to live through another phase of how things in this game will go on. Kobe Bryant will have an impact on all of us and on this game of basketball forever.